Hi, I'm Robert Glazer from Ripe Chartered Accountants, and I'd like to welcome Joe Inoniyegha, who's a hypnotherapist from Inoniyegha Therapy. Morning, Joe.
Morning, Rob. Thank you for having me.
Pleasure. Why don't you tell us a little bit about your business and what you do?
Okay, my business is a general hypnotherapy practice. We're based in Watford. What we do is we fuse life coaching and hypnosis to help our clients move forward in their life. The tools that I use generally is NLP and hypnosis.
Okay.
The purpose of doing that is, through personal experience and also through working with people, found these tools to be particularly useful in getting people clear about their visions for their life, their work, their business, etc., and moving forward in terms of achieving whatever goals they set themselves.
Okay, so I guess what you do really matters, and it matters to your clients.
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay, and what made you get into this business?
I suppose I've always been interested in the mind.
Yeah.
Always been interested in what motivates people to act and do things. Always been interested in psychology, but for the best part of my career, I took an academic interest in the sense that I lectured psychology for a number of years. But within that role, I did a lot of work through mentoring students in terms of helping them achieve their goals, overcoming obstacles, etc. And that sparked another interest in me in terms of looking at how I could go into private practice and work one-on-one. So I suppose I kind of stumbled into it, but then I made the finite decision a few years ago to leave academia, as it were, and to set up private practice.
How long ago was that?
3 years ago, I made the decision. I acted on the decision 2 years ago, and saying that it's taken 2 years to completely phase out of academia and into private practice. So it's been a long process.
So is there anything you know now that you wish you'd known 2 or 3 years ago?
Yes. In terms of business, when I first started the business, I did it all wrong.
Really?
I started from up here.
In
terms of my business planning was very logical, in terms of I was doing things that I thought were the right things to do in business. I was saying things that I thought were the right things to say in business. I didn't really have much business experience, but from what I gathered from reading around the topic and speaking with people. Essentially what happened then was I was getting the wrong clients, getting the wrong kinds of people through my door, and getting quite stressed about it actually because I wasn't, the results weren't fruitful essentially. I had to take a step back and really consider what it was I really wanted to achieve, and I took a reverse approach. And I'll tell you this, to make my point, our mind essentially is made of 2 parts, the conscious element and the subconscious element. So I was working up here in the conscious element, logic, reason, willpower. That makes 10 to 12% of our total mind capacity. Whereas the subconscious mind makes 88 to 90% of our total mind capacity. So what I needed to do was take a step back and really be still and consider my purpose. And get familiar with my friends, beliefs and values. Those are 2 key things that really propel me and drive me in terms of what I do. So to answer your question, what do I wish I knew then that I know now, is to trust my subconscious mind and to trust that my gut instinct knows where I need to be, and to make decisions based on what I feel, decision based on my own purpose, life purpose, and the purpose of my business. Also make decisions based on my own beliefs as well as the beliefs and values of the business that I'm wanting to grow and develop. So I suppose that's one thing I wish I started off doing, and not doing halfway through, learning that actually it doesn't work when I stay up in my head. It works more when I really connect with.
I know that when we do business planning with clients, we talk about their vision, and you referred earlier to vision. Is that a bit ironic that when you started up yours, you didn't have a clear vision of what you wanted?
Didn't have a clear vision. No, didn't have a clear vision at all. I had an idea of what I wanted to do and just ran with random thoughts without really taking a step back and thinking, actually, what is my purpose? What is my end goal?
We find that quite common though. So what advice would you give someone starting up in business?
Precisely that. Start with a clear vision in mind.
Right.
You know, I suppose the first thing to think about is, what is your purpose? What is the purpose of you being in business? Why are you in business in the first place? What gets you up in the morning? What makes you open your doors to your customers or clients, you know? And also with that, bearing in mind, well, what is your identity? What is your brand identity? What is it that your business says about you as an individual, and what does it say about, you know, your business, you know, what it is you're trying to achieve? And then also with that is thinking about, well, what are your beliefs, your personal beliefs, and also what are the beliefs within your business? And how do those beliefs affect the decisions that you make in business? Also think about your values. What are your values in business, and what are your personal values, and how do they impact on how you treat people? So how you treat your customers, how you treat your staff, etc. All of these things will have an impact on what you do on a day-to-day basis, as well as have an impact on where your business would go in the future. So those are key learning. I mean, these are things that I've known, when I say academically, in my head, but it took me through trial and error to really embody it precisely.
Yeah, that's always the hard part, isn't it? So I guess there's a lot of competition out there for hypnotherapists. So how do you set yourself apart?
That's something that's taken me a while to get to terms with as well. The one thing that I say sets me apart is I like to think of myself as beauty therapy for the soul. So again, it's going back to this whole idea of really embodying the things that we try to achieve, or things that we know. When I first started the business, I was doing the same thing everybody else was doing, but now I take it from a perspective of, again, what is my, you know, what is my gut? What does my gut tell me is right to do? And helping people come to terms with their true self.
Right.
Without being overwhelmed with what they're supposed to be doing, when they're supposed to be doing it, but rather doing what they feel is right for them at any given moment in time.
Sure, because people, I guess, often act, and that leads to lying, not only to others, but to themselves.
Yeah, absolutely. So it's coming to terms with the real you, in terms of honesty, integrity, etc.
That's quite scary for a lot of people.
Absolutely, yeah.
Right. Okay. So what tips would you give to others that wanted to start out as a hypnotherapist?
I suppose the number one tip would be being true to yourself as a hypnotherapist, and not necessarily jumping on the bandwagon of what other hypnotherapists are doing.
Right.
Again, going back to having a clear vision. And when it comes to planning out the business, it's got to start from that. It's having a clear, you know, understanding of what your vision is, what your purpose is in starting the hypnotherapy practice in the first place. Different people start their practices for different reasons, and it's being clear in terms of what that reason is for yourself, and then plan your actions and your activities based on that.
So, and for those that are a bit unclear about what actually hypnotherapy is, do you want to summarise that? I mean, and what you actually do.
Okay.
That's quite fascinating.
Okay, hypnotherapy is, gosh, how do I summarise that? Hypnotherapy uses hypnosis, which is a state, to help people deal with subconscious conflicts, if you like.
Right.
If you remember what I said about the capacity of the mind, the subconscious mind influences any action that we take on a day-to-day basis. Sometimes they work for us, other times they don't. Sometimes people get stuck in a particular pattern of behaviour, a particular habit of behaviour.
Is that similar to left brain, right brain stuff, where left brain is sort of quite logical and right brain is more expressive? And
in some respects, there are some similarities there, and there's some, there are certainly some similarities there. I suppose the subconscious mind you can think of as the right brain, more the right brain stuff, the feeling, if you like, and the conscious mind you can think, it's linked very closely to left brain logic, reason, willpower, analysis, that sort of thing. So what hypnosis does is it helps the individual to overcome certain habits, patterns that have become automatic to them.
Right.
How does it do that? Well, generally speaking, under the state of hypnosis, the therapist is able to speak directly with the individual's subconscious mind, which in so doing helps the individual to create new associations in terms of, you know, things that they do that weren't working for them in the past. Can I just explain something very briefly? I'm not sure how it will pan out. So essentially, when we're born, we're born with reflexes. And as infants, we only have, well, two main fears, essentially. Fear of falling and fear of loud noises. And the mind at that stage of development is very primitive, and it has primitive responses that we all know about: fight or flight. You know, so if you think about infants, what do? They use primitive mechanisms to make their needs known. They cry, they shout, they scream, they do whatever they need to do to make sure that, you know, they get the needs met. As we progress through life, we begin to learn through interacting with our environment, and we learn in two ways: identification and association. So we identify certain actions with certain behaviours, etc. So for example, you go to the beach as a child with your family, you have a great time. Well, you learn two things: identify the beach with fun. Okay, so that's a positive experience. Another example is you might touch the radiator and you get burnt. Well, you've learned to identify pain with a radiator, for example. So you develop all these fears and habits and experiences, etc., through identification and association with different aspects in life. And as you grow into an adult, you know, sometimes these behaviors, well, more often than not, these behaviors become automatic. And as I said before, sometimes they help you in moving forward in your life and in being successful, and other times they don't necessarily. And I get people coming through my door who haven't necessarily been successful in their life, and they don't know why. Perhaps because they've identified that success is bad, for example, for whatever reason. So what hypnosis would do would be to reverse the identification or the association.
So you can challenge their beliefs.
Absolutely, certainly.
Okay. So an NLP must be a useful technique and tool to help you with that.
Yeah, absolutely.
Oh, excellent. Okay. And do you get resistance from people telling them what to do? How does that sort of manifest itself?
There are a number of things that I experience in relation to resistance. First off, you know, you tell someone you're a hypnotherapist and it's almost stay away from me.
I was going to wear dark glasses today.
Exactly. And one of the common things I get is, I'm guessing most hypnotherapists may get this as well, I'm a bit sceptical about hypnotherapy or hypnosis. I don't know if it actually works. And a lot of that is born out of people watching stage hypnosis, for example, or stage hypnotherapy, or stage hypnosis shows, and they watch people barking like a dog and, you know, quacking like a duck, and they think, that's not going to happen to me. So the skepticism in some respects come from that, you know, people fearing loss of control.
They give you a bad press, don't they?
Absolutely, you know, but what people fail to understand is that stage hypnosis is just that. It's for entertainment purposes. It's meant to make people look stupid, to make them look foolish. Clinical hypnosis, on the other hand, is the opposite of that. And one thing I tend to say to people is, you know, there's no need to fear losing control, because when you're in the hypnotist chair, you are in total control. Yes, your conscious mind may be in abeyance, but the hypnotist cannot say something that negates your beliefs and values in order, you know, for you to accept. Usually if that happens, you will reject it, you know.
So do you have to build a strong rapport with your clients before you take them into the state?
Certainly. The first consultation usually involves me dispelling any myths they may have about hypnosis, giving them the model that I work with, answering any questions that they may have before, you know, I don't put them in my chair without their permission, you know, and similarly, no one can hypnotise you without your permission.
Sure.
Saying that, it is possible for people to do that, as people do that.
Yeah.
I like to use the analogy of if you may give a knife to a surgeon and he knows what to do, a scalpel, for example, to a surgeon who knows what to do with it.
Yeah.
Give a scalpel to a child, potentially dangerous, you know. And with everything in life, you will have some good and you will also have some bad.
Sure. Okay. You mentioned during the interview a couple of business themes that we work on, such as beliefs and vision and so on. Do you work with business clients, or do you work? What sort of clients do you work with?
Generally speaking, I work with a wide range of clients at the moment, which is quite interesting actually, because whilst they come from all walks of life, they all share the same, you know, excuse me, the same thread holds them together. So I work with students in terms of test anxiety and things like that. I've worked with business people in terms of overcoming their fears of public speaking, their fears of speaking, giving presentations and things like that. Most of my clients tend to be either business people or top level executives who are experiencing some difficulties in their challenges in their personal lives that may or may not necessarily affect their work. I am in the process of developing some training programs. That's another part of my business that I'm looking to grow and develop, which the training program is all about planning, business planning from the subconscious mind, business planning from making use of your inherent values, you know, getting in touch with, again, your purpose, making sure that your business activities are in line with your purpose, your brand identity, your beliefs, your values, what you do, how you do them, where you do them, when you do them.
If I'm talking to clients and I'm aware of a problem, you know, our typical clients are only managed businesses. It's critical they really know what they're doing in terms of their vision and their way forward. But what signs should we look for in order to say, hey, maybe you need to have a word with Joe?
Well, one of the signs would be, well, when what you're doing doesn't feel right, and you're not quite sure why it is it doesn't feel right. You know, that's one key sign that something is wrong. There's some incongruence somewhere, or some misalignment somewhere. That's something that I could, you know, they could benefit from, you know, using my services. Another thing that struck me this morning, another area that I work with as well. Driving in, they were talking on the radio about two things. First thing, there was a headline that today apparently is International Happy Day.
Is it?
The first International Happy Day. I thought, what's all that about?
Every day's a happy day.
Exactly. And then on the back of that, the discussion was about stress in the workplace and issues surrounding stress in the workplace. And that's another major area that I've encountered in clients coming through my door, dealing with stress, not only personal stress, but certainly stress at work. Work overload, for example. So some physical signs and symptoms when you begin to, you know, to get palpitations, you know, you cannot sleep at night, you know, losing sleep, either, you know, finding it difficult falling asleep or waking up too early or wake up in the middle of the night, can't get back to sleep. Those are signs of stress, and perhaps either go and see your GP or come and see me.
Okay, thanks very much, Joe, for that. I must ask you one final question about the new movie that's come out, the Roddy Doyle movie called Trance. It's all about hypnotherapists.
Really? Okay, I don't know.
Definitely flavour of the month.
Okay, all right, I'll look out for that.
Just to go and see it. Anyway, thank you very much.
Thank you. Thanks very much.